I think we all know who Joseph was. Joseph the dreamer, yung anak ni Israel. No? Israel had 12 sons, and one of them was Joseph. And Joseph's brothers ay binenta siya sa isang caravan. Caravan ito yung mga traders who were traveling the desert, the wilderness. Ayan, nakalinya silang gano'n. They traveled the desert. And yung mga kapatid, the brothers of Joseph, no, kasi galit sila, nainggit sila kay Joseph, decided to sell Joseph to the caravan. And after a while, Joseph found himself in Egypt. First, he was imprisoned, but then through the power of God, no, he was imprisoned for 2 years. But through the power of God, through the supernatural gift of prophecy, Joseph was able to get out of prison, and he found himself, no, climbing up the ladder of success. Pero ang dami niyang challenges, ang dami niyang trials. Pero through the power of God, Joseph was able to overcome all the trials and the challenges. And finally, be, again, because of the gift of prophecy, no, Joseph found himself second in command in Egypt, second to Pharaoh. Pharaoh was the overall ruler, and then second to him was Joseph. Can you imagine that? No, from prisoner, from a nobody, no, except that Joseph was armed with a prophecy that God gave him. That's why you see the supernatural gift of God is very important to take you to your destiny, to the destiny that God has prepared for you. Very important that you are connected with the Holy Spirit and that you operate in His supernatural gifts, and you are led by the Holy Spirit. You see, ang maganda rito, even though Joseph was in prison for 2 years, di ba? Today, yung mga Kristiyano, they are so worried na hindi sila makapunta sa church because of the pandemic, because of the lockdown and everything. No, kasi manghihina raw sila, etc., etc. Pero here, Joseph was imprisoned, no, away from the people of God. He was imprisoned in Egypt for 2 years, and yet, ang lakas, ang ganda ng kanyang spiritual life. He was still operating. He was still led by the Holy Spirit. He was still sensitive to the Holy Spirit, and he was still operating in the gifts of the Holy Spirit, and he got out of prison because of that. Okay, so now, no, he was the prince of Egypt, second to Pharaoh, and nagkaroon siya ng it's all because of the dream that Pharaoh had, and he was the lone person in Egypt who was able to interpret that. Okay, at sabi niya ganun, 7 years, yeah, to cut the story short, sabi niya ganun. Pharaoh, there's going to be a seven years of abundance, no? And 7 years of famine. Simple as that. And you have to prepare for that. No, you have to during the abundance, the years of abundance. During the years of abundance, you have to store yung abundance na yun to prepare for the 7 years. And only Egypt knew about that because of Joseph. You see, kasi pinatapon nila si Joseph sa 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 Egypt, no? Kung hindi nila pinatapon at si Joseph nanatili sa Canaan, okay? Kasi doon sila nakatira sa Canaan. Kung nanatili siya sa Canaan, Canaan ang mayaman sana ngayon. And Canaan, uh, yan ang site ng Israel, the would-be site of Israel. E di sana yung Canaan ang prosperous, di ba? During the 7 years of famine, drought and famine. E sana yung Canaan, di sana yung lugar ni Jacob, ni Israel. So yun, sana may prosperity. But itong mga kapatid niya, pinatapon siya out of Canaan. No? Pinatapon siya sa Egypt. So, yung Egypt tuloy ang prosper. Okay? Where the anointed God is, there is prosperity. You see that? So if you're anointed, if you're a true son or daughter of God through Jesus Christ, through the power of the Holy Spirit, and you move, talagang you move in the supernatural of the Holy Spirit. You're led by the Holy Spirit. You're led by God. where you are, no, merong prosperity. And you know what, my wife and I, now we always take notice of this, no? Pagka kami, kunyari nasa mall or nasa Divisoria, okay? Kung pag nakita namin yung nagtitinda yung stall or yung store, ay walang bumibili, walang taong pumupunta. But once we go in, no, we notice na uh, after a while, ang dami ng taong pumapasok, ang dami ng bumibili. No? Kunyari, may kainan, no? Walang pumapasok, walang kumakain. And then we go there to eat. All of a sudden, makikita namin, ang dami ng pumapasok, ang dami kumakain. Pero before, walang pumapasok, walang kumakain. Or walang bumibili doon sa store, sa stall, or anything. Walang pumupunta talaga. But when we decide to go in, so you see, kasunod mo yung prosperity. No? Kaya hindi lang alam ng mga tao, yung mga lingkod ng Diyos, sila ang susi ng kanilang prosperity. Okay, anyway, so si Joseph, no, because he was in Egypt, so the Lord prospered Egypt. So all over the world there was 7 years of abundance. And ito no, for you to imagine kung anong klaseng abundance yun. No? Joseph was able to store, no, a lot of grains na sapat for Egypt to consume during the next years, during the next 7 years of famine. At hindi lang sapat for Egypt, meron pang sapat pa for the whole world na pag bumili sila sa Egypt. That was how big the abundance was. See, you can just imagine na yung abundance na yon was able to supply the needs of Egypt, and not only that, it was able to supply the needs of the world, the rest of the world, because all the rest of the world was going to Egypt to buy grains. You see that? Ganong kalaki yung abundance, and while the abundance was happening, not everybody in the world except Egypt, not everybody in the world was just enjoying it and wasting it, and no. This is now the kingdom principle about business. No? Ito tinuturo ng Panginoon, kingdom principle about business. When abundance comes, no? when abundance comes, it's not just to magpakalunod ka doon sa abundance na yun, and you just enjoy it and celebrate and consume. No? All you have is a consumer mindset. Pero a business mindset, pagka nakita niya may abundance, no, that is an opportunity for him to prepare for business. When you have a business mindset, abundance is an opportunity. It's not for consuming. If you are a consumer, no, if you're sabi nga ni Robert Kiyosaki, if you have a poor mindset, no, and you have abundance, you're gonna spend everything. Like for instance, pag if you're an employee and then you are given a raise, you're given a salary raise, you see, ang laki na ng sweldo mo kasi promote ka, ang first tendency ng mga tao who do not have a business mindset is to buy a car. No, lalo na pag nakita niya, uy, ang laki ng tinaas ng sweldo ko. No? Ibig sabihin, kayang-kaya ng credit card ko bumili ng. Okay, so ang gagawin niya, he's going to buy a car from credit. Uutang siya to buy a car, no? Or to buy a house, to buy a property. Kasi kaya na ng sweldo niya. You see, yung utak ng consumer mindset, no, pagka may available fund, may available budget, ang gagawin niya is to buy a liability. What's a liability? It is just anything you own that takes money out from your pocket. Okay, that's a liability. An asset is anything you own that brings money in, makes you money. That's an asset. So si Joseph, no, when during the abundance, 7 years of abundance, na katakot-takot na blessing, katakot-takot na abundance, no, the first thing he did was to buy an asset, quote unquote, kumbaga, no, kumbaga. And the rest of the world, no, the first thing they did was to just consume. to buy liabilities, no? Quote unquote, to buy liabilities. Wala silang iniisip na, okay, this abundance is giving me opportunity to make to do a business, to make money, no? Like for instance, ngayon magpapasko, it's December 14 and everybody's getting their 13th month and bonuses and etc. and etc. And you know what? They're going to spend that all for Christmas shopping. Now, there's nothing bad about no you give gifts to others, pero you set a budget, no, so that merong matitira sa mas malaki. No, pwede naman yun eh, no? You don't have to buy expensive gifts, no, to impress people. Ang maganda lang naman sa buying Christmas gifts is that no, pinakita mo you remember the guy, no? You remember the person. Naalala mo siya and you you give him something. Maganda naman pero hindi naman ganun ka, no? Kabongga, no? Hindi naman pabongga nitong Christmas eh, no? The reason why we give gifts during Christmas, no, is that God gave us Jesus Christ as the best gift of all. So we're just commemorating that. No? That's why we give gifts to other people. Okay, sabi nila, bakit magbibigay ka ng regalo? Eh, sino ba may birthday? Di ba si Jesus? Eh, ba't mo siya bibigyan ng regalo? But you see, no, maganda yung thinking na yun. But you see, how can you give Jesus Christ a gift? Ano yung ibabato mo sa langit? No? Bili ka ng regalo, ibabato mo ganun sa langit. You can't do that. So, what do? You give other people gifts. You know why? Because sabi ng Panginoon, no, anything you did, no, for the least of these, my brothers, you did for me. So, napunta na tayo sa Christmas, ano? Pero this is important. Ang idea kasi ng Christmas is that you give gifts to those who are least. Kaya yung mga churches na nagkakaroling para meron silang pondo panggawa ng kanilang church building, that's nonsense. That's garbage. You see? Yung mga iba, mga matatanda, mga adults nagkakaroling. You know, ang caroling, iiwan nyo na sa mga bata yan. Because, no, at saka sa mga poor. No, kasi ang diwa ng Pasko is that we give gifts to the least. No? How do we give gifts to the celebrants? Jesus Christ ang celebrant ng Christmas. Eh. You can't give him gift, no? And padala natin ng Grab or Lala Move dun sa langit. You cannot do that. Ang pwede natin gawin is what Jesus Christ said, no? If you do anything to the least of these my brothers, you have done it to me. So kung gusto natin bigyan si Jesus, bigyan natin yung mga least. Yun ang bibigyan natin ng regalo. Okay? So, anyway, so, itong Christmas kasi, no, this is a time of abundance. No? You receive gifts, you receive bonuses and 13th month and everything. Yung iba, meron pang 14th month and everything. Now, you should see these things as opportunity to do business. And so, si Joseph, no, God put in his mind, God put in his heart, no, this abundance is all about preparing yourself for business. See? So Joseph got that and God put that idea in him. At sabi niya kay Pharaoh, this is what you should do, etc., etc. And sabi ni Pharaoh, who is better equipped to do that than you? Ikaw na mamuno dyan. Ano? You're second in command sa akin. So that's what Joseph did. Sabi niya gano'n, no? Itong abundance, every city should keep the fifth portion of the harvest dun sa store city. So they built a lot of store city storage, no, mga storehouses sa cities, no, and they each time na merong harvest they put a fifth, one fifth of the harvest inside the storehouses. Imagine niyo kung gaano kalaki yung abundance. Ang tinatago lang nila Joseph was 1/5. And yet, yung 1/5 na yun, no, every harvest, 1/5 na yun, it was so big that it was enough not just to feed all of Egypt, but to feed all of the rest of the world. To feed the rest of the world too. Okay? Ganong kalaki. Pero one-fifth lang ang tinatabi ni Joseph during harvest. And no, that gives us an idea. No? Each time may salary tayo, each time meron tayong tinatanggap, we keep one-fifth of that. We keep that, no, in reserve for doing a business. That's God's wisdom. So yun ang ginawa ni Joseph. No? He kept one-fifth of the harvest, no, inside the storehouses, so that when the 7 days, 7 years of abundance uh, were gone, the 7 years, no, were gone, and the 7 years of famine started. Punong-puno sila ng pagkain, and all Egypt was able to eat, and then the rest of the world went to Egypt to buy. No? Sabi niya rito, I'm going to read that. No? Genesis chapter 41, verse 56. When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians. You see, he sold grains to the Egyptians. He was in business. Okay. For the famine was severe throughout Egypt, and all the world came to Egypt, no, to buy grain from Joseph because the famine was severe everywhere. You see, he was in business. He did business. No? Nagbebenta siya ng grains, nagbebenta siya ng pagkain when everybody else, no, ay naubusan na. That's the concept of business. See, so you look for opportunities. Always be sensitive. Always be alert for opportunities to do business. Opportunities to to save, opportunities to keep money for capitalization. Okay, when you have money, you always look at money as as a potential for capital, not as a potential for doing shopping. Shopping is good, no, there's nothing wrong about shopping, pero now, when you have money, when you see money, when you get money, always see that as an opportunity for capitalization. Okay, that's the mindset of a businessman.